I still remember January 28th, 1986, like it was yesterday. Everyone was excited about the Space Shuttle launch that was supposed to be really special. But what happened instead was something none of us could have imagined. If you were around back then, I bet you remember where you were too. I was just a second grader, sitting in the lunchroom when my teacher suddenly told us the shuttle had exploded. I remember how quiet the cafeteria got. No one really knew what to say. That week, we had to write a current events paragraph about it, and believe it or not, I still have that paper. This video is about remembering that moment, honoring the people aboard Challenger, and thinking about why it still matters today, especially for students and teachers. The Challenger mission was officially called STS-51L, and it had a really exciting goal: to send the very first teacher into space. Back in the early 80s, President Reagan announced the Teacher in Space project. NASA got over 11,000 applications from teachers all over the country. After a long selection process, a teacher named Christa McAuliffe was picked. She wasn't a professional astronaut or scientist. She was a civilian, a teacher chosen from thousands of applicants across the country. Her selection made history because she was going to bring the experience of space directly into the classrooms, inspiring students in a completely new way. Christa believed learning didn't just happen inside four walls. She often said that the classroom could be anywhere, even in space. She was going to teach two lessons from orbit, one about what life on the shuttle was like, and another about how Earth looks from above. Millions of students were getting ready to watch her do just that. Christa was the face of the mission, but she was part of a team of 7 amazing astronauts: Francis Dick Scobie, Michael J. Smith, Ronald McNair, Ellison Onizuka, Judith Resnick, Gregory Jarvis, and of course Christa McAuliffe. They were a group of highly skilled people who had spent years training and preparing. Each one brought something special to the mission. The launch had been delayed a few times because of the cold weather. On January 28, 1986, the morning was unusually chilly for Cape Canaveral. Then, at 73 seconds after liftoff, the shuttle broke apart. At first, a lot of people thought, oh, that's just part of the normal launch. But then it became clear that something was very wrong. It was a moment no one expected, and it felt like the whole world stopped. Classrooms across the country were watching live. Teachers didn't know what to say, students didn't understand what they were seeing, and the nation sat in stunned silence. The shuttle program stopped immediately. Investigators found that a part called the O-ring seal failed because it got too cold. The disaster showed that NASA had communication problems and pressure to launch, even when it wasn't safe. That evening, President Reagan spoke to the nation, especially to us children.
The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave.
Schools held memorials, flags were lowered, teachers had to find ways to explain loss, risk, and failure, especially when this mission was meant to celebrate education. Christa McAuliffe's backup, Barbara Morgan, had trained alongside her. After the disaster, Barbara went back to teaching, but she stayed connected to NASA. Years later, in 2007, Barbara Morgan finally made it to space aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour, fulfilling the original dream of the Teacher in Space program more than 20 years after Challenger. NASA started flying shuttles again in 1988 with the launch of Discovery. That mission symbolized hope and a fresh start. The Challenger disaster changed NASA forever. It made them rethink safety and how decisions are made. It also changed how schools teach about space and risk. For me personally, Challenger isn't just something I learned about in a history book. It's a memory from my childhood, from school, and from a time when the world felt both hopeful and fragile. That second grade current events paragraph reminds me how much students can be affected by what's happening around them. It's also a reminder that schools are often the place where we first encounter history as it happens. That's why this story still needs to be shared in classrooms and libraries. One great way to help students understand the Challenger disaster is through graphic novels and student-friendly books that bring the story to life with both pictures and words. Here are a few excellent titles you might want to check out or share. History Comics: The Challenger Disaster is a non-fiction graphic novel made for middle grade readers. It combines real facts with engaging illustrations, making the mission and its impact easier to understand. The Challenger Explosion, another graphic format book written for kids and young teens. It tells the story of Christa McAuliffe and her fellow astronauts, highlighting the events leading up to the launch and the aftermath in a way that's accessible and easier to read. Disasters in History, a graphic novel collection, includes the Challenger disaster alongside other important historical events. This collection is great for students who like visual nonfiction and want to see how Challenger fits into a bigger picture. Graphic novels like these can help students process difficult topics visually and emotionally, making challenging history feel more approachable and meaningful. As this year marks 40 years since the Challenger disaster, Christa McAuliffe's story still speaks to us. Whether you're a teacher, a librarian, or someone who remembers exactly where you were that day, this story belongs to all of us. Thanks for taking a moment to remember Challenger with me.